Hey everyone, welcome to another day of building the flight booking engine. If this is your first time watching a video on my channel, I have spent the past month building a flight booking engine, which involves building the front end, building the back end, uh, discussing and implementing things concerning servers, DevOps, including containerization, Linux. Several concepts have been covered. Okay, things like event-driven architecture, things concerning caching, logging, monitoring. I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but it's been a long ride. And if you haven't watched any video, I suggest that you do. You might find that you learn a thing or two or a lot. So if you haven't watched the past video, which is day 71, I ask you to go to the description and please do so. This is a continuation, okay, of that. I didn't want to have everything explained in one video. Why? Number one, it was also a little bit overwhelming for me because internet had been shut down in my country and I was trying to catch up with so many things. So going through all this would have been some amount of work. To go through all the theory, then to go to the code would have been a lot of work to a certain extent. So today I want to start by writing the code. Okay. Usually I generate all the code and then walk through it step by step. But today I want to take a slightly different approach. Okay. I'm going to delete the main engine. Okay. Or not delete, but rather erase all the code that is going to drive the cursor pagination and then explain to you the other bits and pieces. So that code lives in a module called pagination.py in the utils directory. So I'll go here, select everything, okay, and remove it, okay. So, and then I'm going to explain to you how this engine is going to work piece by piece. So be patient, follow along. If you can, code along with me. If you can't, it's okay, but make sure that you code and understand it as much as you can, okay? The goal is to always understand it, okay? Like I always say, have system thinking. If you don't have it, try to develop it. If you've been watching my videos from the very beginning, by now you must have learned the technique, okay, of system thinking, and it should have developed by now if you've been doing every piece of advice I've been giving. So yeah, let's get into it. So I will build up this module, okay? So this module is simply going to have a main class, okay, with methods and one function, okay? Not one function, actually 3 or 4 functions, and then one class with a number of methods. And that is going to help us to achieve the cursor pagination. So again, this is a continuation of what we did previously. And if you've been enjoying this series, this is the time where you like the video, okay? Like all the videos, comment, share, subscribe, okay? Share as much as you can. So let's get into this topic. Okay, implementing the cursor pagination, and I'm going to go step by step so that you can master it and you understand it. Okay, so we're going to build generic cursor-based utilities. Okay, I will put here a doc string to explain everything. So hit enter. So this is going to be a module. So I'll say generic. Of course, we can use AI to generate the stuff, but I just want to go step by step so that you understand it. Okay. Once you've understood it, you can generate the code using AI anyway and anyhow you like. Okay. So generic cursor-based pagination utilities. Okay. So we're going to have reusable modules, okay, for implementing, say this Python. Let me see. Let me autocomplete this and I read it. This Python module provides reusable utilities for implementing cursor-based pagination across different models, offering a log n plus k query performance with proper indexing. I'm not quite sure about the the complexity of log n plus k, okay, but this is something that I can investigate later. So I'm going to I can only do this, remove this part and say this module provides reusable utilities for implementing cursor-based pagination across different models with proper indexing. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to create a class, not a class, but a function rather, which will be responsible for encoding a cursor. Okay, why do we need a function for encoding? Okay, because like I explained to you yesterday, okay, we cannot send Python objects to clients, okay, from the backend. So we're going to need an encoder. So I'll say define, okay, encode cursor, okay. I'll autocomplete because I like this, okay. So encode cursor, let me first Control Z. Encode cursor will take in fields, okay. But fields is simply a dictionary made up of a string, okay. All the keys are strings, and the values could be anything, okay. And it will return a string, but we need to import any. So to import any, I simply say from typing import any, as simple as that. And then, so what are these fields? In our case, we're going to use the created at time and the ID. Okay, so like I explained yesterday, the ID will help us in breaking a tie. So even here, you can simply put a simple doc string. I hope AI is smart enough to help us with it. I'll say this one will encode, I'll say encode pagination from a dictionary, okay, of field values, okay. Yeah, so the arguments, maybe let me not focus on this, okay. Let me not focus on the, I don't over focus on the docs, okay, and maybe waste time. I'm now thinking, but anyway, let me just complete it, okay. Let me, since I began for this one, let me only do for this one. The arguments, okay. Let me autocomplete this by pressing tab. So it says fields str dictionary of, okay. Let me rename this. This I would prefer to say this is a dictionary mapping of field names to their values, okay? Like created at to the actual value of created at, ID to the actual value of the ID, okay? Then I'll say, I can say it supports, okay? This supports, sometimes it's good to do these doc strings because it can help you in your thinking as you code or generate code. Supports date time, UIDs, strings, integers, and floats, okay, and float types. And you're going to see that, okay, soon. What does it return? It returns a, I can say a base, it's going to be a base 64 encoded cursor string, okay, as simple as that. And you can even put an example, okay. Let me show you an example. The example is going to be like this, okay. We shall have, for example, saying the cursor would be equals to, we call encode underscore cursor. We shall call this function like so, okay. Then we pass a dictionary. So dictionary is going to be the fields, okay, with values. So if you find a value like created underscore at, okay, then maybe the value will be actually a value of date time dot now, okay, as an example. Then an ID will be simply a UID, as simple as that. Okay. I've discovered sometimes simply understanding the function signature, not the function signature, but yeah, of course, function signature refers to this, understanding the function signature, but also just writing out documentation like this can help you understand what is going on. And like, of course, I'm going to share this code on GitHub. I would also want it to make it easy or easier for other developers to read and understand what is going on. So I am going to build up a cursor, okay? The cursor using a list, okay? So the cursor is going to be made up of parts, okay? And these parts are going to be the fields, okay, in this dictionary. So I'll say parts, okay, will be equals to a Python list. So at the end, I will encode all of them. So I'm going to iterate through these fields, okay, and I'll say for every key, comma, value, okay, in fields.items, okay. So remember, field.items will return to us, okay, return to us a what is it called? It will return to us, okay, a dict items object, okay, which will simply have the key and value, okay. And by doing this, we're able to unpack the key and value. So I'm going to first of all check. Remember, up here I said it's supposed to date time, UID, string, int, float types. I'm going to check for the types, okay. If this value, okay, is a date time, okay, I'm going to serialize it, convert it to a string, okay, and I'm going to append dt to it. So dt full colon, okay, and then the date time in ISO format. If the value is a UID, okay, I'll put a string which starts with UID full colon, then the string value of that UID. If this value is either an integer or a float, I'll start the string with num full colon, then the value, okay? Otherwise, if it is just a string, I'll start with str full colon, then the value. So for this case, I'm going to start with, the first case is going to be date time. So you see AI is suggesting correct, okay? So if instance value date time, okay? Let me see. Okay, I've done an autocomplete, but this is wrong, okay? I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to simply say, I'm going to create an f string, okay? And I'll say, because it's date time, I'll say dt to start with for date time, full colon, then the value, the quote, the brackets, okay, the curly brackets, then I'll change the value to ISO format, as simple as that. Then this I can simply say serialized, okay, serialized, instead of using value and value here, okay. So this is the serialized, I've serialized the date time. If it is an instance, okay, of UUID, so I need to import date time and UID for this to work. So up here, so trying to be smart, I like that. I'll import UUID and I'll import from date time, import date time, okay? So that value.iso format makes sense, okay? In that UI.UID is actually recognizable even by the editor, okay? So for UID, okay, I'll say serialized, okay, will be equals to an f string, okay, but this time to start with UID. So AI has understood my format, full colon, then the value. Okay, I've done the tabbed autocomplete, but this is what I want it to be. I want it to be converted to a string. Okay, I'll say str. That is why it is important to know what exactly you want to do, because if you don't know what you want to do, AI can actually easily mislead you. You get, so very, very good to know what you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to make edits. Then it says if instance of int, okay, so int and float I want it to be in only one, okay, one check. So what I can do here is to do this. I can put here brackets and I say int comma float, okay. Then I remove this other one, like AI is suggesting. I'll say tab, okay, so it has removed it. Then I'll say serialize equals to f. Wow, this is too much. I don't want this. So if it is an integer or a float, I'll say num, okay, full colon, then the value. As simple as that. Then finally, if it is none of those, I can simply say else. Okay. AI doing a lot. Say else. Okay. The serialized will be equals to an f string. Okay. Simply a string value. Okay. So to go through it one more time, we loop through all the field items, dictionary items. If the value is a date time, we start the string with dt full colon, then the value, the date time converted to ISO format. If it is a UID, okay, then we start the string with UID and then convert that UID to a string. If it is one of an integer or a float, we start with num for a number, full colon in the value. Otherwise, if it is simply a string, then we start with str full colon then value. So that's how easy it is. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is this. Okay. Now when we are done with that, okay, I come on the next line, okay, and say parts.append. Okay. So if it is a date time, okay, we shall append it to this part. Okay. If it is a UUID, we append it. Okay. So in our case, like if I looking at this example, okay, encode cursor with created at and ID. Okay. So this line of code would have been executed, created at, and this other line of code would have also been executed. As simple as that. So would end up with a string having dt, okay, the date time in ISO format, okay. That will be the first item I mean in the list, okay. Then after that, we should have another item in the list from line 21. Okay. So now when I'm done, okay, I'm going to say cursor underscore str. I'm going to create a cursor, okay, from this list, okay. I'll say cursor str will be equals to, in fact, I can create a new line here, will be equals to, I'm going to join them using an ampersand, okay, using an ampersand dot join, okay, join parts, as simple as that. Then at the end, okay, I return, okay, I say I return the I want to convert now this one into a base 64 URL. Okay, I want to encode it to base 64, just like I mentioned in yesterday's video. That is why it is very important to watch that video. Okay, it wasn't a live stream. I simply recorded the video and uploaded it. So make sure you check it out. So I'll go up here. I need to import. Probably should have imported the number of things I'm going to need. Let me just import them at once. I'll need base 64. Okay, I need to import when interacting with the database. Okay, from SQL model import session. Okay, from SQLAlchemy import select. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to need select that base 64. I'm going to need okay, other things we shall add them. Okay, so right now CAI has suggested that base 64.url safe base 64 encode. Okay, then this string, okay, dot encode, okay, then the code. The goal of this is simply to make it URL safe, because there are certain parts, okay, of a string which are not good for URLs. Okay, yeah, that is why I want to have it there, and this cursor is going to be used in our URLs. Okay, that is why I need it. Okay, as a basic step. Just a moment. I need to move this a little bit. So we now have a very good cursor. So you see, creating a cursor is not hard. So it depends on your logic. Okay, on your logic, and I'm going to show you why this is going to work very efficiently. Okay, you're going to understand it in a very short while. So let me carry on. So we need a function to do the opposite of this. Okay, so this is what we have. What we have is the encoding. What about the other part, the opposite? Okay, The opposite is the decoding. So we need to decode. Very important. Okay. So let me work on that. So decoding will be simply the opposite. This way I expect AI to shine. I forgot to check if the words are big enough. So to decode, I said define decode cursor. Come on. Decode underscore cursor. Okay. It will take in a cursor, okay, and give us what we put in here originally. Okay, so I'll minimize that. So decoding is actually quite easy. Let me see what AI is saying. Decode a cursor string into a field of values, arguments, base64, returns a dictionary. Okay, I'll hit tab and I see what it says. Decode a cursor string into a dictionary of field, values, arguments, cursor, which is a base64 encoded cursor string, returns a dictionary mapping field names to their values. Example fields equals decode cursor with something like coded art equals to no. This is actually wrong. Okay, this is actually wrong. Okay, it has to follow this format. Remember the format we defined here. Okay, we should have seen num full colon str full colon. Okay, yeah, that's why it's very important to review what AI gives you. Okay, maybe I can add something. Raises a value error if cursors instead of cursor string can say cursor format if cursor format is invalid. So yeah, I'll just remove all this. Yeah, sometimes AI can waste your time. Let me do it. Say try. Okay, I'm going to try some statements, then accept. Okay, I'm going to accept exception as E. Okay, so raise value error, invalid cursor format. Yeah, that's how it will be like. So the statement is to try. The first thing is to decode. Okay, so it's what AI suggested, that cursor equals to base64 dot URL save base64 decode. We pass the cursor. Okay, but here I'm supposed to say, here you're supposed to say cursor dot encode like that, then decode. Okay, then our fields. Okay, our fields, we shall store them in a dictionary. Remember, our goal is to get back a dictionary, what we pass to encode. So I'll now go through it. Say for part, okay, in cursor.split. Let me tab to see if AI has done correctly. For part in cursor.split, so we are undoing. Remember, in encode, we joined, okay, using an ampersand. So here we split using an ampersand, okay. Then after that, we again we split, okay. I want to split not with a full colon, but where there's an equal sign, okay. Where there's an equal sign, I want to split, and I'm aiming at what is it called? Oh, actually, I've forgotten something I was supposed to do. Are you seeing here when I'm appending? Okay, when I append, okay, to be able to split with an equal sign, here I'll have to append differently. I have to append a function, a string, not a function, a string. When I saw f, I was thinking about a function, but f for f string, not f for function. So I'll say this, what we're going to append will be the key, okay, equals to the value which has been serialized. I hope you get it, okay? The key, which is this one, to the serialized value. Let me tab a little bit, okay? This is what we're going to aim for. So that here, okay, we start by splitting by this one, what we joined. Then again, we split by this equal sign, okay, to get the key and the value. So key and value will be equals to this part dot split. Okay, why? Because every part is made up of is joined by this, is made up of this. The whole part is made up of this, okay? But the different parts are joined by an ampersand. So we separate the parts, okay, by splitting again, then separate the key and value by splitting when there's an equal sign, okay? Then now I want to get I'll remove everything here so that I don't get lost. So type, I want to pick out the prefix, okay? Remember we had the prefix, okay? What's the prefix? It's this one here, okay? This part here, this DT with a full colon, UID with a full colon, num, and str are all prefixes. So prefix and the data, okay? So the data is this part, okay? I'll split again, I'll say equals to, yeah, value dot split, okay? And by the way, for all these, I want to split once. So I'll put one, even there, one, okay? Split once. Then now we can now go through the logic. Let me tab to accept what AI is suggesting. So AI is saying if type of prefix equals to DT, fields key equals to date time dot from ISO format. Yes, we're converting it now back to a datetime object. If the prefix is UUID, okay, we convert it back to a UUID, okay, and store it in the dictionary. If the type is equals to num, okay, we need to now, in this case, we need to be wise, okay? We need to be wise. So what I'm going to do is this. If the key, okay, so you can even start by checking for floats or integers, it doesn't matter. So I'll say if the data is an integer, okay, okay, I'll say the data will be, we shall convert the data, okay, to an integer if a period, okay, is not in the data. If a period is in the data, else we convert it to a float. As simple as that. Then say type else prefix equals to string, and then fields key equals to data. Yeah, that is it. Then this other else is useless, okay, because we have an exception block. I expected AI not to do that because you're seeing an exception, an except block here, and you're raising a value error. So why are you putting an else there? So this should not be else if, but simply else. So if the prefix is DT, we convert back to the datetime object. UID, convert it back, data back to a UID. If the prefix is a number, we now check, okay? If it has a period, if it doesn't have a period, it's an integer. If it has a period, okay, then it's a float. Otherwise, if the prefix is an str, simply do that. In fact, there's not even no need for this. Okay, I can simply remove this check, okay, and simply say else that, okay. All right. Oh, job keep to long time. Can you resend the Discord link in the chat? Can I integrate FastAPI with Next.js? Yes, Job, you can. Very well. And that is what I did. I think that was in day. Check the playlist, okay? Check the playlist. You're going to see one of the videos, okay? One of the videos I dealt with that. Let me try to get the link to Discord. Okay. Job, can you allow me to share the link to Discord? Let me see, just a moment. I think I can still get it. Where is Discord? Just a moment. Invite to server, copy. All right. Okay, so the link should be in the chat. Please let me know that you can see it. So FastAPI, yes, you can in Next.js, and I actually did it. I did it in one of the live streams. So job, yeah, make sure you check. Okay, you can. I did that. I did it. Okay. Let me see. Link to Discord. I had pasted it, but for some reason it disappeared. All right. So I hope this is okay. Then next up, I'm going to create the class. Okay. Let me try to be faster. Class, call it cursor, not pagination, but paginator, like that. Okay. This cursor paginator, okay, will be a helper class, okay, for cursor-based pagination. So generic cursor-based pagination class, okay, say a helper class for cursor-based pagination. Okay, I will not put all the examples and whatever. Okay, but let's go to the code. Okay, but what I can do is say this, but I can even put these comments after. Let me just do it right now for the sake of making sure you understand the thing. This handles the common pattern of doing the following. Number one, we shall apply the cursor filter to the query. Okay. Two, apply not to apply the limit, shall fetching the limit plus one rows to detect has more. I hope you all remember this from the previous video from day 71. Then the third one will be building the next cursor. Okay, the next cursor from the last item. Simple as that. Okay, I would have put an example, but I'll put an example later. Okay, shall put an example later. So let's write the code for that. Job, let me know if you've been able to access Discord. Well, for some reason, I don't know. When I paste something in the chat, it ends up disappearing. What can I do? I think I'll just share it after. Because when I refresh on this other screen, I see it disappearing. I don't know why. Yeah, Job, please let me know if you're back. Let me know if you can find that link. Okay. But I just tried to share it in the chat. For some reason, when I refresh the page, it disappears. All right, let me continue. So I want to create the init. Say define init. This way, expect AI to shine. Okay, I'll hit tab. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to expect self. Okay, of course, the query. Sometimes it is not wise to, let me do the things myself. Let me define this myself. I'm reaching a point of disabling AI completely. I'm now getting, can I say pissed? Okay. It's starting to overdo things. Okay. Okay, let me do this. Okay. So of course self has to be the first argument. Okay. Then shall have the cursor, which can be the string or none. Okay. And soon you'll understand why it can be none. But I can even tell you now. It can be none because sometimes if there's no cursor, then we can just return the query as it is, okay? So you're going to understand the limit, okay, is an integer. Then order fields. So order fields, these are the fields you're going to use for doing an order by, okay? So like order by maybe date time, order by ID, something like that. But first we're going to use created at and ID, okay? Then order direction shall have the order direction defined, order direction, which is simply a string, okay? If you don't give us the order direction, by default it will be DESC. So DESC is simply an abbreviation for descending. So we shall have either ascending order or descending order. As simple as that. Okay. So the cursor, the limit, like you want only 10 records or only 50 records, the order fields, okay, and then the order direction. Okay. All right. So maybe a simple doc string, but I think after this stream I'll put proper doc strings. Okay. Yeah. So I see AI is giving me stuff. Let me hit tab and edit. So self.cursor will be equals to cursor, that is correct. Self.limit, okay. I want to say it will be the minimum between the current limit, okay, and we won't have the what is called the maximum pagination underscore limit. I'm going to explain this to you in a moment, okay. I'll copy this and define it at the top, okay. At the top, probably after our, not after, but before our encode cursor. What is this thing up here? So I paste it here. Maximum pagination limit will be equals to 100. Okay. And of course, this is a value which can come from the virtual environment to make it dynamic. You get, make it dynamic. So in case the limit, if, for example, in case you give us a limit, this limit is maybe 1000. The limit, the minimum value between 1000 and 100 is 100. So this is like putting a seal. You cannot go beyond this. Okay. That is why I want to have that. I don't know if Job is still watching, but Job, if you're still watching, please let me know if you have access to Discord now, or if I've answered your question correctly. But yes, you can integrate PesaPal very well. Okay. Now, after that, okay, of course, self.order fields equals to order fields, self.order direction equals to order direction. Then I'm going to add a private variable, which will be self dot underscore. We want to call it cursor values, okay, will be equals to a dictionary, okay, whose keys are strings and the value can be anything or none, okay, and by default it will be none. So these cursor values, okay, refers to the items which build up the cursor, okay, like the date time or the ID. And you're going to see how important this is going to be, okay. So I'm going to start now creating a number of methods, okay. But even before that, in this init function, okay, here I can say, I'll say if we have a cursor, okay, if there's a cursor, okay, then we need to have the cursor values, okay. I'll say self dot cursor values, okay, is equals to decode cursor, okay. So if there's a cursor which has been given to us when we are initializing the cursor paginator, then we decode that cursor to get the cursor values. Meaning this will be, remember the result of decode cursor is a dictionary mapping. So cursor values is a private attribute holding our cursor values, like the date time in ID and stuff like that. You get. So that's for the init. Then I'll have a method define code apply cursor filter. Okay. It takes in the query, okay, which is of type select. Okay, select is actually up here. I'm not sure if I imported it correctly. Okay, this select, I think this is uppercase. Sometimes AI can mislead you. This is an uppercase. Should be, I think, uppercase from SQLAlchemy import select. Okay, so this is going to be a select, can I call it a result of select? Okay, then the actual model you want to select from. Okay, so we are going even deeper. So model, I'll just say type. Okay, type will be the annotation, and then the value will be, of course, a select, like that. It will be a query. So when someone to call this function, someone will do something, the value of select will be something like maybe query, okay, equals to select, okay, maybe the booking model. Okay, in case you want to pass, in case you want to pass it to this function. Okay, then you want to paginate booking records. Now we're going to apply our pagination, okay, in a wise way. Okay, I need to stand up, stretch a little bit. Just a moment. All right, just a moment. All right, I've done a 1 minute stretch. I hope that was good enough for me. Shall find out if I can survive this. Now, I am going to do a check, okay? I'm going to do a check, okay? I'm going to say if not self.cursor values, okay? If we don't have any cursor, okay? You know what happens? I simply, if not cursor values, then we simply return the query as it is. There's no need to filter, okay? There's no need to apply a where clause rather, okay? Let me put here doc string, but I will explain. I'll implement doc strings after the stream. I'll say cursor-based, apply cursor-based where clause to the query. In fact, I shouldn't be suffering with this because actually I had the code before, then I just undid. Okay, so I can undo again to get back that code. I just wanted to go step by step so that I'm able to explain to you this. Okay, then so if there are no cursor values, simply return the query. Okay, there's no need to filter anything. But if they are there, okay, we're going to build conditions. Okay, we're going to build conditions. So I'm going to say, okay, for I, okay, comma, field, okay, field not filled in, okay, enumerate, like AI, enumerate self.order fields, okay, because remember we are applying a where clause, okay. So the fields that I'm going to, what's the correct term? They call it, am I getting tired? It's called, oh my God, it's so crazy how you can forget something, it's a simple term. Iterating. How can I forget the word iterating? The word is iterating, okay? I'm going to iterate through the order fields. Okay, as simple as that. So let's start again, okay? If the cursor is empty, okay? If cursor values is empty or none, it simply means the user is requesting the first page of results because the first page, remember, does not have a cursor, okay? We return the query unmodified. Nowhere clause is needed because we just want the top end results. Okay. Now, after that, you know what happens, okay? We now iterate through self.order fields, okay? In our case, it will have a created at field and an ID, okay? We shall order by created at, okay? In case there are rows with the same or any record, okay? Whereby we have a situation whereby the created at time or order time is the same, that will be a tie. So we shall need a tiebreaker, which will be the ID, because IDs are unique, even if things were created at the same time. So ID will be the tiebreaker. So order fields will have two values, okay? For our case, created at and the ID, okay? Yeah, so we're going to iterate through every field we are sorting by, okay? And we're going to skip fields if they aren't present in the provided cursor data. As simple as that, okay? In fact, I'm going to apply, I'm going to write basic logic that you all are familiar with, okay? To skip them is actually easy, okay? I'll come here and I say, if the field, okay, not in cursor self dot underscore cursor values, okay, simply continue. As simple as that, okay? Then I'm going to continue and now pick the value, okay? At the item, okay? I'm going to pick I'm going to pick the value of the item which was at the bottom of the previous page. How will that work? Simply say cursor value will be equals to self dot cursor values tab, okay? Self dot cursor values, okay? Then we pick the field, okay? Then I'm going to say the column will be equals to get attribute, okay, model field. So in case if it is like created at or ID, okay, using the model which has passed to us, okay, we shall get the actual object, okay, of that column in our code, okay. So this line of code at line 124 helps us to avoid having a string, okay. We shall have an actual SQLAlchemy code. This is what they call, I think, Python reflection, okay, where we convert the string name, okay. For example, the string name of the field, like created at an ID in our case, into an actual SQLAlchemy column object, okay. So this will be a real column object, okay, and we can use it to write SQL expressions with it, okay. So now we're now going to need to handle two fields: the primary field, okay, and the secondary field. The primary field, like I told you, is going to be of course I haven't told you yet, but I told you that in the order field we're going to have two fields, okay, created at and ID, okay. So in our case, the primary field, which is the first field you sort by, will be at index 0. So I'll check if I, okay, if I equals to 0, okay, then I check the order direction, okay, like AI is suggesting. If the order direction, okay, is in descending order, okay, then I'll say conditions dot append, okay, I'll append, okay, I'll say we want to append a condition which is going to help us to get everything, okay, whereby the current column is less than the cursor value, okay. That is what we want, okay. Remember, this is what will help us to get descending, okay. But the opposite will be for ascending. I'll say where the column, okay, remember this is now a real SQLAlchemy column, okay, column object. The column will be greater than the cursor. This will be the condition, okay. And then we can append these conditions to this list, okay, depending. So that is for the primary field. Otherwise, for the secondary fields, okay, so I'll come here, say else. For the secondary fields, okay, the secondary fields I'll need to, because there might be many, I want to build, say, equality conditions. Equality conditions equals to another list. Because remember, we can have things made at the same time, okay? So if they're made at the same time, we shall need a tie breaker. Take a moment to think about these things. Think about them. Okay, we're going to handle an edge case where if multiple items have the exact same value, okay, for the primary field, okay, then we need to verify the next sort field, okay, which is simply what I call the tiebreaker, and it will help us to know which ones to skip, okay. So we're going to loop through all previous fields, okay, and enforce equality, okay. So what's the logic going to be like? The logic will be that all previous columns, okay, must be equal to the cursor. And the current column must be less than the cursor. That is for descending. If it is ascending, the current column must be greater than the cursor. Just like you saw up here. Okay. As simple as that. So let me go through. Rohan is asking a question. What is a select data type? Okay. So select data type is first of all, select Rohan is imported from SQLAlchemy select. Okay. It is used for creating a basic query. Okay. Let me show you. If I go to crude, maybe users.py. So I think this, select that. Okay. I think select that. So it is simply a basic query. Okay. To select, that helps you to build think about this, the result of select, okay, is a query object rather. Query object is the best word. A query object on which you can perform things like where clauses. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, please let me know. But that is what select is. Okay. If it doesn't make sense, Rohan, please let me know. I am going to elaborate. So let's build that logic. Okay. So, and again, you have this code on GitHub. Okay. Feel free to do anything you want with it. Look at it and understand it. So I want to go through that logic. Okay. I talked about a few minutes ago. So I'll say for previous, I'll call it previous field. For previous field in self.order fields. How do I get the order fields? Like you see, AI has suggested. Okay, I'll get all fields up to I. Okay, so if I is 0, I'll get if I is 1, I mean. Okay, if I is 1, I'll get only up to 0. Okay, if I is 2, I'll get up to 1. So I want to say up to I to make it dynamic. Okay, so it will give us all previous fields. So for every previous field, okay, I still have to check. I'll say if the previous field in self.cursor values, self.underscore cursor values, then see like we did here, okay, I want to pick the actual value. Okay, I'll say the previous column will be equals to get attribute the model comma previous field, not call. What's wrong with this AI thing? Okay, Rohan, Have I answered your question? Rohan is saying it replaces the repeated select query. Yes. Okay. So we're going to send that the value of cell. When we say cell, when you're going to see how this function is going to be called. Okay. We shall call select on a model. Okay. And pass that value here. Okay. To avoid repeating that select every time. Okay. Yeah. That's good. You've understood it. I'm happy. I was just looking at the chat to make sure that you've understood. But that's good. So let me continue. So that is it, okay? So I think this is similar to what we did here. Very equivalent, actually, okay? So after that, we simply say, now we can now build our, add to this condition, okay? This inner condition. So the eq conditions will be equals to, okay? Not equals, but append. Oh my God, it's a list, okay? I'll append, okay? Only if the previous column is equals to self dot underscore cursor values previous field. Okay, and you're going to understand this in a moment. Okay, I want. I think actually I dealt with this yesterday. Okay, I want to do something like this. Okay, let me. I don't know if you can pull up this screen. Okay, let me do this here. Let me do it outside. I want to do this, guys. Okay, I want to do this. Okay, I want to quote. The goal is to do this. I want to say where. Okay, where this is the SQL where created at, and again, if you don't know SQL, you can search for videos on YouTube and you can learn it in a short time. Where created at is maybe something like this, is less than maybe if this is the date time, okay? Or, okay, or created at, okay? If created at is equal, if the time created at is equals to this, remember this first part creates a tie, guys, okay? It creates a tie. So if it's a tie, okay, we have to check that the ID is less than the cursor. Something like that. Okay. So that's why I want to build this AND clause. Okay. So I'm starting by building the equality. Okay. The equality here. Okay. So let's move up. So what is AI suggesting? Let me ignore that. So then outside this for loop, I can now say if self dot order direction is equals to descending. Okay. EQ conditions dot append. Okay. I did this, what I explained to you before writing the code. Okay. Let me, so I append to this anti-similar logic to this. Okay. If it is if it is descending, then the call should be less than the cursor value. Otherwise, the call should be greater than the cursor value. Okay. Otherwise, then at the end, we now do the AND. Okay. Do an AND. So in this list, okay, we do AND operation, but this AND underscore has to be imported actually. Okay. So can we just import it ahead above here to avoid it being imported globally? Say from SQLAlchemy import and underscore comma or underscore. Okay. So this one simply helps you to do AND operations, and this one helps you to do O operations. This one I'm saying AND, then this asterisk will simply unpack all these values and do an AND operation. Okay, to all of them. As simple as that. Then I'll come here and to go outside the loop. Okay. Outside the loop. Not the loop. What's wrong with me? Outside the, where are the conditions? Okay, outside, yeah, outside the loop actually. So here, I'll say if we have conditions, then I say, remember the whole goal, okay, is to apply a cursor-based where close to the query, okay? We say the query will be equals to, like AI is suggesting, okay? It's saying query dot where, okay? Then we apply or operator to every condition that has been built. Then at the end, here you can simply say return query. So what is remaining is actually very simple, okay? And I'll go through it as fast as I can. Say cursor value is basically the page number. No, not really. So I'm building the cursor, okay? Using using the created art and the ID. You get. And they're going to be indexes, okay? I'm going to show you why they're indexes. They're going to be indexes to help us with very fast lookup, okay? They're actually indexes. They're going to be indexes, you're going to see. So they're not... yeah, but hey, Rohan, wait, Rohan. I think I see where you're coming from. A cursor value is basically the page number. Yes. Rohan, that is correct. Sorry, I misunderstood you. Yeah. So the cursor is like going directly to the page we want. Okay. So the cursor is going directly to the page we want without having to go from, imagine you wanted to go to page 50. Okay. With offset, you have to check page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to 50. But for pagination, you don't need to start from page 1 to page 10, 15, 49, then you reach 50. You go directly to page 50. Yes. So that is what the cursor helps you with. Yeah, nice one, Rohan. You're getting it. Then the other one is very simple. I'm going to say define. Actually, we are done. The most complex thing about this cursor pagination is this stuff of applying filtering. Okay. This one is, I'll call it apply ordering. What is AI saying? Okay, saying query. Okay, yeah, to take a query and a model, then return. Select. So this one is very easy. Okay, I'll say order. I'll put a list. We should store order clauses. Okay, order clauses. Then iterate through every order field. Okay, so I'll say for me, what AI is saying. Let me tab, then go through it. If it is wrong, I'll remove. For field in self.order fields, okay, we get an actual column. Okay, this is an actual SQLAlchemy column from the model. Okay, then if the order direction is descending order, we say order clauses dot append column dot descending. We can call this function, okay, on the call because it's an actual function, by the way. Yeah, I remembered that. It's an actual SQLAlchemy column object. Else, order clauses dot append call dot asc, meaning ascending. Then I can simply come here and say return query dot order by. Let me autocomplete what AI is saying. Okay, query dot order by. Apply the order clauses. I feel like I should have applied some of this logic inside here. Okay, inside here. Let me see. Oh no. No, it wouldn't have worked. Yeah, sometimes you get confused by your own code. Yeah, that's why I have to add doc strings to this code here. So I think that is it for this one. Okay, then you'll have another one called apply limit. Okay, to say return the query dot limit self dot limit plus 1. Okay, so to understand this, please watch the day 71. Okay, why it is limit plus 1. I don't want to get into that again. Then we shall have another one define. That is why actually I did yesterday's video to save time on this part. This other one would call build the actual magic. Build cursor. Okay. So build cursor, not build, what's wrong with build result. Okay. Build result Cos self will take the items, okay? And these items is going to be a sequence, okay? A sequence of, it can be any sequence, by the way, okay? So because it can be any sequence, I want it to be generic, okay? I'll go up here and say from typing, import sequence and TypeVar. TypeVar is TypeVar. TypeVar, okay? Then down here, okay? Just before the class, I'll define a type T, okay? Just say T equals to TypeVar. I feel like there's a modern way of doing this in Python, but I can't remember. I feel like I've seen it somewhere, okay? So that will make the argument for this will be a sequence. The sequence of type of any type, okay? That's why it's called a generic of any type T. Okay, then why has more? I'll say cursor. We won't have a cursor field extractor. Cursor field extractor. You'll understand what this is. Okay, it's actually already built. Extractor, if I can spell extractor properly, and this will be a callable. I think callable is now inbuilt in Python. Yeah, it will be a callable, and this will return a tuple. Okay, having a list, generic list of type T, str strings. Come on, where is the pipe on my keyboard? Or none, and a boolean. I just keep checking the chat to make sure there's nothing I've forgotten. All right, what's this? The full colon is supposed to be at the end. Okay, so here I can simply say items. The items list, I'm going to be the items list will be equals to, I'll convert the items, okay, to an actual list, okay. Remember, this is a sequence, okay. Could be a sequence of maybe whatever, because it's T, type T, it's generic, could be any type. So I'll convert it to an actual list, which I know, okay. Then I'll say that if, okay, if the number of items, okay, in the list is more than the limit, okay, then we shall have true. It will mean that we have more data. You get, shall have more data to fetch, okay. So the variable which will be responsible for saying that we have more data will be called has more. Say has more will be equals to length, again, length of items underscore list, okay, and I say check if it is greater than the self limit. Yeah, wow, this stream has been long enough. I'm starting to feel actually tired. Let me try to see how to get done. So this one, this of course, this is a boolean, okay. So this will either be true or false depending on what the result of this will be true, okay. So I'll say if has more, okay, if has more, well, you can see the items list, okay, will be items list, okay, could be like this -1, or even simply can say self limit. Why? We want to remove that extra one, okay, that extra one, the last one. Again, watch what we did yesterday to be able to understand this. Watch the 71, okay? I don't want to go into the depth of that. But simply, we are removing the last one. So picking everything from the beginning except that last one. Then can now come here. Let's create a variable for the next cursor, okay? Next cursor equals to none. So let me say So if items list and has more, okay, so if the item list exists and we have more data, okay, the next cursor, I want to remove, let me write my own logic. The next cursor, I want to first get the last item. I said the last item will be the current items list, okay, the current items list at -1. -1, remember, in Python, we're simply referring to the last item, okay? So let me explain something, okay? Remember the limit would have had, imagine like yesterday I told you we wanted 20 items, okay? I want 20 items, but then to find out if we have more data, I do 20 plus 1, okay? So in case there's the 21st item, so has more should return true, okay? But if has more returns true, I want to remove that 21st item by this list slicing operation. Remember, I explained this yesterday. Don't forget, I removed that 21st item. Okay. So now at this point, items list has only 20 items. But in those 20 items, the cursor should point to the 20th item. This last item is the 20th item. Again, if you've not watched yesterday's video, date 71, make sure you watch it. Very, very important. Then now here we can get the cursor fields. The cursor underscore fields will be equals to cursor field extractor. Okay, you're going to see this cursor field extractor. You learn that it's actually very simple. We pass the last item. So we shall say next underscore cursor will equals to encode cursor. Okay, and we pass the cursor fields like that. But the spelling of extractor is weird. Extractor is a C here. Copy this, paste. Cursor field extractor. Okay. What else? What else am I missing? I think that is it. Okay. Yeah. So after we are done, what do we do? Simply return the return the items list. Okay. All everything, the next cursor and has more. That's all we need for pagination. So that's the end of the class. Wait, I didn't indent this. Oh my god. This is supposed to be indented. All this. I was wondering why these items and cursor page field extractor have been grayed out, which simply means they've not been used. Okay, yeah, so this is okay. Then after that, we can now say define get total count, okay? But this is going to be optional, okay? Because getting a total count is usually not, can I say advisable in case the database is huge, you have a lot of data, okay? Maybe it can be done as a background task. It doesn't have to be something urgent. So I'll hit tab to autocomplete. So we're going to have the same signature. Say it's not a select. This time I want to have, I need a session. Session. That's why I actually imported it here. Okay. So for this, can even to avoid global certain functions to be in the global space, just like I did for, where is it? For this, for and or. Okay. Can simply say from SQLAlchemy import func select as SA select. Okay. Then what's this? Let me just write my own. So the count underscore query will be equals to SA select. Okay. is select func.count close bracket dot select from query, come on, query dot sub query. This is also a function. Okay, then you can say return session. So the result will be equals to session dot execute, okay, the count query. Okay, then at the end I can say return the result dot scalar or 0. Yeah. Wow. Quite a lot. Quite a lot of stuff. Quite a lot of stuff. Yeah, but actually we are done. Okay. So actually I had the code ready. Okay. But I just undid it so that I can explain to you step by step. So the next thing I'm going to walk through actually very easy. Okay. The implementation of this. So let me see if I can undo all this. Okay. Very fast. And because I'm sure by typing all this one by one, there could be a bug probably which I have maybe added. Okay. Let me just undo to what I had, which was working. But it's the same thing. Okay. I'm going to push it to GitHub. One thing I've learned is never to get attached to any piece of code. Never. Let me see. Am I there yet? I feel like this is a shortcut for doing this. Or am I hallucinating? There should be like a shortcut for doing this. So I'm going to walk you through shall I go to the models and a few functions, then the front end, and we wrap up this. But it's quite easy. There's nothing actually hard. So it's undoing that. We're almost there. Undoing that, undoing. We're almost there. Okay. Then finally, boom. Yeah, that is it. Because this other one had at least more sensible comments. All right, now for what we have to actually work, okay, in models.py, in bookings and notifications, look at this. Very important, okay? There is a cursor, okay? So I added a field called underscore table underscore args underscore, okay? And this is where we define indexes. So you define an index called the booking cursor, an index based on the created at and the ID, another cursor based on the user ID, created at, and ID. This is what is going to actually help that when we are doing a where clause, okay, in the paginator, when the paginator is doing a where clause based on the created at field and ID, okay, it is this index which will help us to go to the exact row we want, okay, or the exact page. We don't have to go page by page, okay. This is a good thing. This is how it's going to work. Rohan says, should it be a good idea to follow your videos to code exactly what you are programming, or should I make my own application? Good question, Rohan. I would suggest if you're practically new to programming, okay, and these concepts that I am doing are practically new to you, for this is your first time learning about these concepts, I suggest you write the code by hand, okay? as I'm doing. Okay. Once you have understood the concept and you wrote the code by hand, okay, break it. Sorry about the background noise. That's from the neighborhood. Someone I think is passing around with a very loud car and music playing. Sorry about that. So what you do, okay, write the code by hand, break it, change it, make it your own, okay, and change features, okay. Maybe you've seen a bug in my implementation of cursor pagination, okay, because by now I expect you to have understood cursor pagination. Implement it your own way, okay. And like I already say, in the end, I want you to make it your own, okay. I want you to make the application your own. So if this is new to you, start from scratch. If you're used to these things, okay, I would say clone the code, read it one more time, and make it your own, okay. But either way, the goal should be to make the application your own. That is how you will learn, okay. You watch, understand, code along if you can, or code later, okay. Once you've understood, you can now make it your own, either by coding by hand or using AI, but of course, make sure you review it, okay. The goal, like I already say, is making it your own. In that way, you're going to develop system thinking. I hope that answers the question, Rohan. So this is going to help us for fast lookups when we do a where clause based on these fields, okay. Yeah. So even for notifications, I added the where clause. And in the where clause, I added an index, okay? Similar index, okay? And by the way, is index coming from? Index is simply from SQLAlchemy, okay? Even for bookings, if I go to bookings.py, index is also from SQLAlchemy, okay? So have your database index ready, okay? After you've added these indexes, okay? Of course, I'm going to push the code so that you just clone it and it will be simple for you. Once you do that, okay, make sure you run Alembic. Do you guys remember Alembic? Okay. Do you remember Alembic revisions? Okay. So start your server. Okay. Start your server. Very simple. Okay. Start your server Docker compose app. Okay. I think I run it somewhere here. The command is here. Yes. So Docker execute IT, your container name. This is the container for the backend. Okay. UV run alembic revision minus auto generate. Okay. Minus M, the pagination name, add pagination indexes. Okay. And that will create these files. Okay. But I'm going to push them for you on GitHub. This file to create this revision. After it has created the revision, you simply run alembic upgrade head. Okay. UV run alembic upgrade head and you'll be done. Okay. But still on the same container. Okay. Notice the container IDs are the same. How do you get the container ID? As a reminder, you simply say docker ps. Okay. And you look at the container ID. Because in our case, we have several containers for Prometheus, Grafana, lots of stuff. Okay. So make sure you get the correct one. It's quite simple. Yes, I do remember Alembic is used for DB migrations. Yes, that's correct, Rohan. And I'm happy that you have understood. So after that, we need a few crude operations. Okay. So if you go to crude operation, but before crude operation, the number of schemas you need to be aware of. I made changes to the schemas. It's not a lot. Okay. Like when you for the admin response, it's now called Cursor Paginated Admin Response. Okay. What will it have? The items, Cursor, has more, has previous. Only that, and total count. The same applies to bookings. Okay. So it's now called Cursor Paginated User Bookings Response with the same things: items, next Cursor, has more, previous, total count if you need it. Then in pagination.py, okay, we have the okay, this is similar. Okay, so you see in pagination, you see we have CursorPaginatedResponse, which is also a generic, meaning it is a pagination for any type of data. Okay, so we have a list of items, which is a list of anything. T is anything. If we have the next cursor, previous cursor, has more, has previous, total count, limit. Okay, and then some model config, simply showing you what an example. And I'm going to push this code for you because I've explained the main part. Then we've got the CRUD operations. They are very easy. Okay, for notifications, I seen this function. I seen this function called booking cursor fields. Okay, it is the function which we call here. Let me go to the utils. I want to remind you here when you go down here. Okay, where is that part? Where is that part? Where is that part? Where is that part? This cursor field extractor is a callable. Okay, it will be this function here. As simple as that. Okay, now look at this. Says get user bookings cursor. Okay, is going to be helper function, which now makes use of our cursor paginator class. It passes in the cursor, the limit, and the order fields. This is what I told you, created at and ID. And the order direction will be descending. Then it will build the base query. Okay. So the base query will be select booking, okay, where booking.user ID equals to user ID. Okay. This is going to be the base query. Okay. And then if the total count, if the user wants the total count, okay, we just simply do a similar select, okay, and call a function called get total count. Get total count is this function outside the class. This one here, get total count. Okay. Then, in case there's no need to get the total count, okay, we apply now the pagination. You see, we call our paginator class, okay, paginator.apply cursor filter. Remember, cursor filter is taking the query, okay, which is this, okay, and the booking, the model to query from. Then we apply the ordering, okay, then we apply limit. All those are the functions that's why I began from this side, okay, that we have to apply cursor filter, apply ordering, apply limit, then we build the result. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, in fact, you see here on line 59 says paginator.build result. Okay, we pass in the bookings, okay, and the bookings cursor fields. Now I want you to ask yourself, how can I make this better? I want to challenge you. How can you make this better? Okay, cursor pagination actually has a very good benefit, but it's actually not quite easy to implement. It's not as easy as offset pagination. Rohan says, I feel like whenever I use AI to outsource my programming, it doesn't feel rewarding. Yeah. Sometimes even you can feel like, I don't know, like you're losing your skills. If you overdo it, you can easily lose your skills. Yeah. But I guess we're in that age. We're in that age, Rohan. We just have to get used to using AI correctly. Okay, in the and yeah, the goal is to use it correctly. Okay, like knowing when to use context, the right context, knowing when to give proper examples to it, knowing how to write good prompts. Those are the things that can, I think, help us to make use of AI, and also making sure that we do extensive code reviews. In case of doubts, we consult with the documentation or consult with if not documentation, we consult with, like, I don't know, industry experts. Yeah, but definitely use it. Okay, in some cases, it can actually help you to be faster if you actually know what you're doing. So yeah, so after that we get the results. Okay, so this is for get user bookings cursor. Forget all bookings cursor. That's the same thing, except there's no select where user ID, okay? But that's the same thing. Okay, the difference, if I take you up here, we have where booking.user ID equals to user ID, okay? But here we're simply getting all. Let me do this. We have the paginator, okay? You see we have the base query, which is simply a value of select from your model. You can include the count if you want, apply pagination, okay? And then you build the final result and return the actual data, the next cursor, a boolean if it has more, and total count. Yeah, what I can tell you that I don't think this AI thing is going to go away. Probably one day the bubble will be burst, but we have to find out using it efficiently. And if we do, it can actually help us. So let me do this. Where, of course, I wrote some tests, okay? But you can check them out. I'll push. What I want to show is the routers, okay? All these routers actually follow the same logic, okay? So I'll only show you flights.py, okay? So in flights.py, are you seeing? I say response equals to cursor paginated user booking response, okay? But that is coming from the function I just showed you a minute ago. Get user bookings cursor, which takes in the session, the user ID, the cursor, the limit, okay, and the include count. Cursor, limit, include count all come from the user, okay? So that's how you see here, they're now what? Query parameters, okay? The cursor is here as a query parameter, include count is here as a query parameter, limit is here as a query parameter. Then user and session simply remain as dependencies, okay, to this path operation. So cursor, limit, include count come from the client, okay? Then using those values, we call the get user bookings cursor. And then whatever we get, we simply build our cursor paginated bookings response, okay? But even before that, if you look at the catch, I think our catch, I don't know how many of you remember when we built this, okay? If you're watching this for the first time, go back and find out, okay? Go back and find out. Check in the playlist, you're going to see a video where we built our catching engine. It was so awesome. I enjoyed it. Phenomenal. Hello, how are you doing, Phenomenal? Thank you for being an active participant. So it says now why I came here is to show that we are building the Redis key using the cursor and the limit. Okay? Take note of that, guys. We are building the Redis key using the cursor and the limit. Then also down here, when we are setting the catch key, we include now the new cursor paginated user bookings. Okay? You get it? Very simple. So the same thing applies, the same logic applies to admin.py. Like you see at admin.py, we have the cursor, limit, include count, okay, and the session. And then down here, you see, you say get all cursor bookings, cursor paginated admin bookings, okay, same thing. The only difference is that here there's no catching, okay, but I need to add it. If you feel like, make a pull request, okay, same for notifications. So I want to go there, because I want to show you how this is integrated in the front end. The front end actually has little code, okay? Little code. The front end simply has types, okay? Phenomenal says, good brother, keep up the good work. I appreciate your kind words. I will definitely keep up this. So in the front end, I simply changed the booking response. It's now called the cursor paginated bookings response. What changed? We have a next cursor, has more, has previous, total count. Okay. In fact, I'm thinking of removing this this total count. Okay. I'm planning to remove it. Eon Kid. Hello. Thank you for joining today's stream. I think this is the first time I'm having you here. Job, you didn't respond to me. I don't know if Job is still watching. I hope you're able to get the Discord link. If you don't, if you didn't, I'm going to pin it after this stream. I'll pin it as a comment, okay? And you asked the question if you can integrate FastAPI with Next.js. Yes, you can. Kid is asking, saying, can you make good notes and share like all learning in a 10-hour video or less? I'm thinking, what do you mean by this? Do you want me to make notes about everything from day 1 to day 72? Or you want me to create a 10-hour video explaining everything from day 72, from day 1 to day 72? Please help me understand. I just want to understand your question better, so I give you a better answer. So for the front end, that's basically actually the major the major change on types. Okay. The other change, you see, look at the front end, utils, lib, everything else is clean. Okay. In admin, okay, because pagination is needed on 2 pages. Okay, mainly for now. When we are listing bookings for an admin and when you are listing bookings for a user. Okay. So for the logic is actually the same. Okay. So I'll show you for the user bookings. Phenomena says, are you streaming on other platforms like Twitch as well? No. I'm only streaming on YouTube for now. I've had I've had that Twitch is the best, one of the best for streaming. Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet, but yeah, for now I'm just doing YouTube, not yet Twitch. Kid says, just most important parts needed for almost all projects. I know man stack. Yeah, the popular man stack. That's one of the things. My first volunteering job, I worked with the man stack. I built an API that was powering a Facebook bot for lawyers. Okay, and this API was being built using what is it called, Node.js. Okay, Node.js, rather Express. Okay, and we had a REST API and a GraphQL API. In our database was Postgres. We used TypeScript. It was fun, and the front end was React.js back then, before Next became a thing. But wait, was it Manstack? It wasn't Manstack, because the M I think is for MongoDB. We didn't use MongoDB. We used Postgres. Yeah, but I did Man, I think, as a side project way back. Yeah, Manstack is a popular stack and very interesting. Yeah, I guess I can do that, Kid. I now understand, Yon Kid, what you mean. Yeah, I can do that. I can summarize it at the end of this series. I can create a summary of concepts, okay? Concepts you need in every video, okay? Major concepts learned in every video. I hope I'll be able to remember all, because some videos in this playlist are more than 1 hour long. Some 2 hours. Like now, this one here is almost 2 hours. I see 98 minutes. Okay. Yeah, but I'll do my best. I will. It's possible. I can. Okay, and I will do it. I will put that in my notes so that when I'm concluding, I create that. Yeah. That's a good suggestion. Yeah. So you said just the most important parts needed for almost all projects. Good one. I will do that. So here, okay, the first thing I see that I have a repetition. Okay, I have an interface representing the booking response. But this is now the cursor paginated booking response from the from the, what is it called, from the backend. But this is a mistake. Okay. Yeah. In fact, all these types, I'm saying this interface, booking interface, all these types should be in a module by now. Okay. I mean, well, not a module. What they call them in JavaScript, I think it's the same thing. A module, but what I mean in a separate file. And I will do that. After that, we have a state for navigating. Okay, when someone is clicking next, previous. Okay, we have this navigating. I think I may not need it, but it is something to think about. Okay, something to think about. Just because of the experience it gave me when I was on development, but I think in production it will be better because of the network requests. Then we have the next cursor and set cursor. Okay, so next cursor is the actual cursor. Set cursor is for setting the cursor. Has more and set has more. Has previous and set has previous. Cursor history and set cursor history. Okay, is also good because it will help us to go back to the previous cursor. So Ian Kid, don't worry, I'm going to do that. Okay, and I think I'll share it on Discord. Current page, set current page. Okay. Then here, the page size is 1, okay? But actually, I want to set like from 20, okay? I put 1 because I was testing. And I'll show you in a minute, okay? Then what else do we need? Okay, the real thing happens here. You see, in fetch bookings, when we fetch bookings initially, okay? We build a URL based on the cursor. If there is a cursor, we build the URL and say bookings, question mark to create a query parameter, cursor equals to, we put past the cursor, and you say and limit equals to page size and include count equals to true. Okay. If there's no cursor, we only send the limit, okay, and include count equals to true. And all these I was just experimenting, but you can remove them, okay. Then you make a request to the using our API client.get, okay. Then you set bookings data.items. This comes from the backend, okay. Data.next cursor. You set it. This is still data from the backend. Has more. Data.has more. Okay. Set has previous. Data.has previous. Set total bookings. Okay. If data.total count is given, we set it. Otherwise, we give it a value of 0. So you see this is very simple. We have been doing this in this project like more than 50 times probably. Okay. Yeah, that's why you see I didn't want to spend a lot of time on the front end. Then for going to the next page, okay, if there's no cursor or you're still navigating, we return, okay. But what I want you to look at is the URL, okay. URL simply says /bookings. We pass the next cursor and the limit, which is simply the page size, and include the count of all records. Okay. For development, including the count is okay, but I'll remove it because I don't want to include the count of so many things. Okay, in case the database is so huge. Okay, then we make a request to the backend. Okay, and it will give us the paginated booking response. Okay, if we have that data, what do? We save the current data. I mean the current cursor. Okay, for going back. Okay, before we change it, the one which existed before clicking next. Okay, is the one we save. Okay, then we do the same thing. We set the bookings, set the next cursor, set has more, set has previous to true, change the current page, okay, by incrementing by 1. Then of course if there's an error, okay, we do the logic we have always been doing. And in both cases, in case things are good or bad, we set navigating to false. So this is going to the next page. Going to the previous page, to the previous page, okay, is a bit interesting, okay? What we do, we get the current history that we want, okay? And copy it to a new list, okay? And then you say new history.pop. Pop will remember, this is like a stack, okay? It remove the latest, okay? The last cursor will be removed from our history. And what we're calling history is simply a list, okay? Then we tried using a simple logic, we build the next cursor. We check if the length of the history, okay, of this array or list is greater than 0, okay, Then we make this history by reducing its length by 1. Okay? Not making history actually. We're actually picking the last item. We're actually picking the previous cursor. Why are we picking the previous cursor? Picking the previous cursor means, remember, length, okay, will give us the total number of items, okay? So when we say -1, okay, we shall be getting the previous item, okay? Because we're going one step back, okay? Otherwise, if it is not greater than 0, then there's nothing previous to look for. We simply return null, okay? So if there's a const URL equals to previous cursor, if there's a previous cursor, we build the URL, okay? So this logic of building the URL, okay, is the same as this one of going to the next page, okay, is the same as this one of fetching. If I look for it, fetching bookings for the first time. The logic is 100% the same. Okay, take time to read it. Okay, to understand the things, a time has to reach whereby this is like you can narrate it like a story. Okay. Yeah, then of course we make an API request to the backend, and using the data from the backend, we update our state. As simple as that. And of course, all this other logic is the same. Then, if I show you down here, simply have pagination logic, okay? If we have previous or has more, okay, we show the buttons, okay? You see we have the button, this button. When we click it, we call the function go to previous page. And in case there's no previous data, okay, or we're navigating, that button will be disabled. Then we have an SVG just to design that previous button, okay? Then we have page, okay, you simply showing the current page. Then you have another button for going to, it says go to the next page. When you click, it calls the function go to next page. And if there is no more data, okay, or if we're navigating, this button will be disabled, okay? If you're navigating, okay, we shall show an SVG design with text saying loading. Otherwise, we can simply show the next text saying next with a design of the SVG button. I mean SVG design, okay? It's very simple. So let me show you that design. Please make sure I don't want to say it is simple and then people are not understanding, okay? So I'll say npm run dev. Rohan says, is it okay if I build only the backend for this? I'm not very fond of the front end. That's very okay. Rohan, it is very, very okay. Trust me. There's no problem with that. Okay? It's very okay. Actually, if you've discovered my main focus, maybe because I'm heavily backend developer, I've focused a lot on I feel like once I know the backend, backend is safe, I can do anything on the front end I like. Okay? Using AI tools especially, and tweak things manually if I need to. Yeah, so it is very okay. By the guys, if you're good at front end, okay, and your stack is front end, you don't have to be full stack. Focus on the front end and master it, okay, before going to the back end. If you're on the back end, like Rohan, you've said, focus on your back end, okay? Do not worry about the front end. All is valid, okay? All is valid. So let's see if there's some success. All right, so if we go to my bookings, what is it? This is the first time the thing is failing. Have you seen it? This good thing has not failed before. I need to investigate. Okay. Yeah, it's good when certain things happen sometimes. Let me see. Actually, instead of rebuilding, I should have gone and inspected the page. Saying site can't be reached. So the question is, what did I change? Okay, I think I changed something on the back end. It's okay. I can log in the other way around without Google. Okay. Do I even remember? Let's try. Wait. The backend, once you see fail to fetch, you know the backend is down. Okay. Something is wrong. Let me see. Let me see. In fact, instead of doing this, I should just come here. Clear docker ps grep. What do I call it? Do I call it FastAPI? You can't even, if you, in fact, if you don't know something, you cannot grep. So you see, among us all this, okay, the backend container is not running. Did I change anything? Did I compose? No. Interesting. So I'm going to say, let me try this. Let me try this. I see the FastAPI app was already stopped. Okay, it was already stopped. This is a nice experience. Let me first do something. Docker ps. Okay, so you see now all are down. Okay, all of them are down. So let me do this. Just one more step. This is interesting. I need to make sure that one of them depends on the other. Okay, I get it. We have an error. I've seen the log. This is that log. Okay, we actually have an error from the backend. It makes sense. Wait, it's not running. It makes proper sense. I see the error. I don't know. Let me close this. I scrolled away too soon. I saw the error. It's an import error. I feel like in development I need to stop all these logs. Oh my god. I saw the error again and it just scrolled past all of them. But I can still search. Okay? I can search. It's something I should have done a long time ago. FastAPI _ app. Really? Why can't I search through the logs here? There's something wrong with an import. You could do Docker compose. Yeah, yeah. That's correct. Phenomenal. I guess I'm tired of something. Docker compose app says unknown. Wow, looks I'm really tired. I misspelled that. Okay. Thank you phenomenal for that. Sometimes you need a hint here and there to be able to even remember what you know. So you seeing this? If I go up, see this import in backend main.py from backend.routers import flights, routers from backend.crude import get, cannot import name max pagination limit from backend.crude.bookings. So what did I do? Backend.crude.bookings. We can use some kind of central logging system to tackle this problem. Oh, by the way, guys, you know sometimes you even forget what you have built. I have central logging. Who remembers? Was it day what? In the past 10 days, we actually worked with a central logging tool using Grafana and Prometheus. Okay. Yeah, so cannot import maximum pagination limit. Control F. Let me see. Backend routers. This is in routers, right? Flights.py. If I go up, here it is. Are you seeing this? We have maximum pagination limit here. If I go up, oh, I get it now. This is where the error is coming from. Okay. But if you go to crude.bookings, there's no maximum pagination limit. All right, let's add it. So equals to 100. It shouldn't actually even be there. Okay. Run that again. Okay. Happy days. Thank you, phenomenal. Close that. Clear screen. Do a compose app. Saying we. Okay, I didn't know that I have previously used Graylog for that. Okay, I don't know what Graylog is, but of course, from our conversation and from its name, it's a logging tool. Yeah, I used a few videos back. I used, if I go to compose the chamo, I'll show you a few things. Loki. I think this. I used the Loki, okay, with prompt tail to handle logging. Okay, so prompt tail tails the logs, okay, from the log file, and then sends them to Loki. Okay, then Prometheus uses Loki as a data source. So yeah, a number of things going on in this compose file: Kafka, Loki, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Prometheus. But yeah, so I'm simply using Prometheus, Grafana, Loki, and Promptail as monitoring and logging tools. Okay, guys, so maybe I can log in. Okay, I can log in. So logging with Google is working. Continue. Wow, can't believe it's 11 p.m. Okay, so you see, right now it's like this because I said 20 records. Okay, so like I showed you last time when I was testing, I had changed to one record. Okay, just to see If I go to app, my, okay. If I put one record, okay, pagination size to 1, okay, we should be able to see sort of like, what do you call it, like a number of pages, 3 pages at least, okay. So this is page 1. If I click next, you see we're now on page 2. Click next, we're now on page 3. If I set 2 per page, what am I doing? Okay, so you see we have 2 per page. Does Loki store the logs? About storing, I'm not sure, but it gets the data from Promptail, okay, and helps me to see those logs in the UI. But I think I'm not sure if it stores. Wait, could forget. I like your questions. Causes me to think. Let me recheck compose.yaml. Yeah, it does. It keeps it. Let me see. So I think Promptail here, okay? Promptail uses this URL, okay, to push the logs from the backend, okay, to Loki, okay. Then Loki tracks any of its data, okay, in a volume. Where is that volume? Here, okay, Loki data. It's any kind of data it needs, okay, but I don't think it stores the actual logs. I'm not quite sure. I need to investigate that, okay. But like this volume is Docker managed, okay, for Loki to store its configurations, okay, at least I'm sure about. But all that comes from Promptail, like I showed you here. Promptail uses this endpoint, okay. This is where Loki's endpoint exists, okay, to push data to it. It accepts data from that endpoint from Promptail. And Promptail simply checks our logs and sends them to Loki. Oh, where are we? So you see, I have here now 2 elements. So you see previous is disabled, okay? If I click next, actually, if someone comes here, they may think this is offset pagination, but it's not offset pagination, okay? So I click previous, it is. So page size, I think by default, I'll just leave it maybe at 50. Okay, let me just say 20 for the start. And again, by the way, if you guys are doing production, okay? Even okay, when this grows, I need this to be fetched from environment variables, okay? To make it configurable. It will be very good. So that if you have to change your page size 50 times according to your user requirements, you don't change your code 50 times and make 50 comments or 50 code edits. Okay. Yeah. Using the virtual environment is not virtual environment, but environment variables is good. I already say virtual environment when I'm meaning environment variables. Okay. So if I refresh, did you see that glitch? Those are glitches I need to stop. Okay. So you see now we don't have anything. Okay. But of course, these are cancelled bookings. Okay. And I like to see that our notifications are working. All right. There we are. I'm getting exposed in live stream with bugs. Yeah. You can say consequences of the things to fix with time. Okay. Yeah, I'll fix that. But yeah, I was saying I like to see notifications. So say notifications.map. Oh, and actually this has something to do with the new link I made. Not the new link, the new edit concerning pagination of the notifications. Yeah, I'll have to edit it. I'm seeing all the issues. Did you see the login page show when I navigated to it? It's not supposed to be there when you navigate to it. So yeah, looks like I have a bug with rendering the notifications here, but not bad. Phenomena says storing all the logs would be overwhelming, I think. Yeah, there's no need to store all the logs. Actually, what happens is this, okay? If you remember the time I built the log manager, okay? I want you, if you've not watched it, watch it, okay? Watch that live stream where I built the log manager. When building the log manager, let me show you. Where is that guy? Is it in utils? Okay, when I build the log manager, I want to show you. How you reach in your code and even get lost, okay? Are you seeing this? Time rotating file handler, okay? I only keep up to 7 backups. 7, only the past 7 days, okay? So anything older than that will be lost, okay? Rohan says, I think most production systems store them. That is up there for debate. I think if I was at the level of Google and have the money to store, okay, I would store logs of up to maybe 3 months for security reasons, okay. By the way, do you know that if you had several logs, okay, you can actually you can train your logs. I mean, you can use your logs as input, okay? If you organize your data very well and clean your logs very well, you can use them as input to train an AI model to help you maybe learn user behavior or stuff like that. And I'm sure these guys use our data for that kind of stuff. Okay, and Rohan says for a few weeks. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's something to think about. Yeah, but for now, like I've showed you that time rotating file handler. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I'm only keeping logs for 7 days. If you missed watching that stream, I would suggest you watch it. It was one of my coolest, earliest streams I had on this channel. So yeah, every time at midnight, okay, the interval is 1, backup count is 7. Okay, so I keep only 7, and the rotating happens at midnight. Okay, yeah, that's what happens with the logging here. Where is that directory? It's here. Okay, logs, backend.log. So yeah, that is it. Yeah, pretty long stream. This has been a stream, I think, of almost 2 hours or slightly more. But I wanted to get this done. Okay, so I'm going to push the code. The bug, I'll fix it. Okay, I'll fix the bug. Oh, actually, let me push the code. I'll fix the bug tomorrow because I know many of you might want to pull and see what is going on. I'll fix those bugs. Yeah, it's time now to clean up and wrap up this thing. It's actually done. Trust me. It's the MVP is done. I was thinking of doing other things like Kubernetes, but you actually don't need them to have this project as an MVP. Okay, so I'll wrap up the MVP, create a video about it, and then if anything else comes up, okay, those will be simply additional videos after the MVP. Okay, because there are things I need to work on. Many of you have requested for microservices. I want to talk about microservices and AI engineering in separate stuff, and also do system design. Actually, my focus is on system design, okay, of backends. I want to go heavy on that where possible. The interesting projects I've been working on in Ghana, in Nigeria, and I wanted to share how I designed the backends. I created an entire backend of a system we're working on for a state in Nigeria, and I also built and designed the entire backend for a client in Ghana, and I did almost half of the front-end integration. I think it's something that would be nice to share. I want to find out from my clients if if it's something they allow me to share without going into the details. I can do that. Rohan says, yeah, I worked at an AI startup. The company used the logs to study the behavior using LLMs. Oh, interesting. I guess I was close to being right. All right. Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. Really good to know. Yeah, so logs, yeah, phenomenal can be used for LLMs. So thank you for confirming that, Rohan. I appreciate everybody who has joined the stream. Rohan, you have been an active participant. Phenomenal, you've been an active participant. Job, you started this whole vibe. You disappeared. I don't know if you're still on the stream, but I hope I answered your questions. Ian Kid, thank you for being an active participant. I don't know if there's anybody else I missed out. So yeah, bye for now. And let's talk and discuss the things in the next stream. Bye for now.